Today we'll be talking to us about citizen science. It's Abubakar Ringim, and he is an explorer, adventurer, and wildlife photographer. Ringim loves nature and is a wonderful bird watcher. He is instrumental to the growth and achievement of the Ariwa Atlas team, leading the team to cover 100 panthers during one of their outings when he was an ESCO member. Currently, he is the NiBAP regional representative, coordinating bird clubs in the Northeast, Northwest region of Nigeria. Academically, Ringim holds a BSc in zoology from Bayero University, Kano, and Masters in Biodiversity Conservation from the University of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. He is now a graduate research assistant and a third fund Morgan Scholar studying for his PhD in the Department of Bioenvironmental Sciences at the Morgan State University, USA. And for today, he'll be talking to us about citizen science, a reflection of 5 years journey of volunteering. So please, let's make welcome Abubakar Ringim. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to share my experience about the citizen science in Nigeria, specifically under the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project over the last 5 years. So permit me to share my screen. So of course, going by the title, I will be talking about citizen science, and which is a scientific concept, and we'll see some of the definition of citizen science in the presentation. So the title reads Citizen Science, a reflection of 5 years journey of volunteering. And my goal at the end of this presentation is that we will be motivated, encouraged, and do more in citizen science, particularly under the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project and other conservation projects in Nigeria. So what is citizen science? For those of us that are not citizen scientists or that are nature enthusiasts, citizen science is a concept that engages the public in scientific projects or environmental and biodiversity assessment projects. And otherwise, it can be defined as people who have chosen to use their free time and resources to engage in the scientific processes. They must have time to travel from one location to another. They must have time to do some atlas activities. And of course, most importantly, they need to have resources to travel. They need to have resources to buy instruments, field instruments like field guides, like binoculars, like camera, like GPS and other tools important in bird atlases and other biodiversity conservation atlases. And of course, this citizen science is an avenue for scientists like us to share traditional ecological knowledge with communities, as well as assessment and information related to biodiversity decline and loss, and other taxonomic information with the local communities. There are a lot of potentials in citizen science concepts, and some of these potentials and the data generated by citizen scientists through environmental monitoring and biodiversity assessment can be used to reveal important discoveries and results about biodiversity or birds or any other taxa. And also the data can be used to track biological changes like decline in bird population or migratory species or other biodiversity attributes. And also the data generated by citizen scientists can equally be used to assess the impact of human activities on biodiversity, particularly on birds. Today we're talking about global climate change and how it impacts bird population, notably migratory species, because over the last 30 years, it is believed that more than 40% of world migratory birds have declined. And this is as a result of what? of monitoring and evaluation. And most of this information comes from citizen science data. And also, the data generated by citizen scientists can equally be used to track or monitor the impacts of environmental pollution. For instance, it can be used to track the impacts of pollution, oil spills, and other pollution on seabeds and other attributes related to biodiversity or birds. So there is a paper titled Report on the Photographic Atlas of Birds of Nigeria, which provide an overview about citizen science and history of citizen science in Nigeria. So you can take a look at this paper. It is free accessible on the internet if you are interested to learn more about citizen science, the concept of citizen science and history of citizen science, how it all started in Nigeria. Briefly, it started in 2015, and the official launch of the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project was in 2015. Then that is 5 years ago. And there were so many initiatives, and it started with 3 individuals, the NiBAP team. Then today there are over 200 citizen scientists in Nigeria. And of course, we need more people to do to join this trend. Because there is a huge work. Mapping the distribution of birds in Nigeria is not an easy task. We need manpower and other resources. So you can read more about this paper and get motivated to join this exciting project. Moving on, for the first time, I met with the NiBAP team in October 2017 when they came to Dutse, Jigawa for Atlas exercise. And after we Atlas for 2 days, they invited me to the first workshop, titled Atlasing and Bird Monitoring in Africa, held at Aplori. And this workshop was organized by ADU, Animal Demography Unit, who oversees the activities of the South African Bird Atlas Project in collaboration with the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project, domicile at the AP Leventis Ornithological Research Institute, Aplori. So these are some prominent people who attended the workshop, and most of them are the coordinators of these bird atlases. This is Colin James from Kenya, and that's Michael Brooks, who managed the database of the South African Bird Atlas Project and the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project. And this is Dr. Ulf, who is the country director and the director for the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project, and that's Kelechi and other friends, Mr. Hari, Aisha, and Wat. And for those of us that are following the SABAP, South African Bird Atlas Project, and other related initiatives of citizen science initiatives, they know less. And that's Megan, who are in charge of overseeing the activities of this Bird Atlas projects, especially in Southern Africa. And this is how we ended the workshop with an exciting barbecue. And that's the tradition of Aplori. So after that, in July 2018, Dr. Sam and I went to Kebbi State for seminar and Atlas expedition at Federal University, Birnin Kebbi. We spent 3 days, including Josiah. We did a seminar and launched the Birnin Kebbi Bird Club and do some Atlas exercises. Then we proceeded to Kano, where we also held a seminar at Bayero University, Kano, in the Department of Biological Sciences, and did some Atlas exercises. Of course, the Just Bird Club joined us in Kano and also participated in the Atlas exercises. And as part of the tradition of the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project now, we ended the Atlas exercise with a dinner, and we catch fun and had great time. That was quite memorable and exciting. And I was happy to, host the team. So my first outing in Arewa Atlas exercise was in 2018 when we did Atlas exercise at Bauchi. And that was the first time I met with Longi and other friends, Joe and O'Neill and Fatih and Iki Ezekiel. And that's Habib, Fatih Ramzes brother. And actually, we were Atlassian, and there was a heavy rain, and we had to look for a mud shelter. We were happy that we were accommodated by the local people under this mud house. It was an interesting experience. Then after the Bauchi Atlas, we went to Patuskum and Atlas 37 pentats in 4 days, and we exceeded the targets. Then we also went to Azare and Atlas 37 pentats, and we also exceeded the targets. And you can see the coverage map of Azare before the Atlas exercise, and this is Azare after the 4 days Atlas exercise in Azare and parts of Gadong. That's Harun, Poniel, and Ezekiel. Then in December, we had a great outing, which is the end of the year outing at Dagono Waterfall Sanctuary, which is part of the Chad Basin National Park in Guru in Dagono village. And that was the time when we joined the ESCOS train. And the reason for having an organized and designated responsibilities under the Arewa Atlas is because there were so many tasks and there was so many burden on some few people. So there was a thought that it's better there's an organized responsibilities so that people will be able to handle some tasks. And this is the Arewa Atlas team at the Komadugu Yoga River Wetland Development Initiative during the election period, which was held on Wednesday, 12 December 2018. And that's marked the first time the pioneer ESCOs were elected. And Fatih Ramzi was elected as the president, Alai Lawan as treasurer, Lonji as PRO1, and Joshua as PRO2, Cornel as welfare officer, and Joseph as a welfare officer too, and I was elected as the Secretary General. And this officially marks our regime on 12 December 2018. So in that particular outing, we were able to atlas 104 pentats for the first time in the history of Bird Atlas Project on the entire continent. And you can see this map, Les Underhill generated this map. That was on Sunday, 9th December. There were 14 pentats, 1,416 pentats under the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project as part of the coverage map. But by Saturday, 15 December, after our outing, there were over 1,500 pentats. And you can see the coverage map here, cycled before the outing, and you can compare the coverage map after the outing. Of course, it is very tiny, but the impact is very, very broad and massive, and it is heard all over the continent. So this is a summary of our regime summary of Atlas expeditions, March 2019 to December 2020. So during our time, this is what we have achieved. We had our first outing. So normally the Arewa Atlas team usually have 4 outings on quarterly basis every year: March, June, October, and December. So in March 2019, we Atlas Kaduna, and we were able to cover 28 pentats. In Adamawa, we had an outing. We covered 100 pentats, which is also for the second time. And we had outing in 2019 in Taraba. We covered 67 pentats with amazing observations. And in Niger, Mina, Kainji, and parts of Mina, we covered 67 pentats. Then in 2020, last year, before the COVID-19, we went to Kebbi and we atlas 70 pentats. Then because of travel restrictions and other restrictions associated with COVID-19, we were not able to hold an official outing. So a few teams went to parts of Kenya and Kazore in Jigawa and did 40 pentats. Then in Bauchi last year, we did 100 pentets again for the third time, and in Gombe last year, which marked our end, the end of our tenure, we did 93 pentets with amazing observation. So in overall, our regime from March 2019 to December 2020 organized 8 outings covering 506 pentets. So these slides present my personal Atlas expedition, and I attended 10 AAT outings to date, that is from inception to date, and I participated and undertook several personal and arranged Atlas exercises. And to date, I Atlas and submitted 276 full protocol cards under the Nigerian Bird Atlas project. These are some of the shots from the Atlas activities. Top right is AAT at KYB Komodogo Yobe Basin in 2018, December 2018, and that's me in Bajoga when we were Atlasing, and we had to succumb to local food. And left bottom, that's we in around Gembu on the Nigerian-Cameroon border on our way to Atlas ground. And you can see how terrible the terrain is. That's Mr. Paul, and that's me, bottom center. We had to cross 2 rivers before we reached our Atlas, before we reached the Atlas ground. In fact, we traveled 2.5 hours on bike before we reached the area. Yeah, and that's Dr. Sam, Josiah, and I at KB State. So to date, my experience with the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project or citizen science is that I have seen and heard 40% of bird fauna occurring in Nigeria, because to date I have covered, I was able to record 373 bird species seen or heard under the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project. And this table presents the top 3 atlases having the highest full protocol cards in Nigeria. Of course, it is not surprising we have Dr. T there with 670 pentats. And that's me, second with 276 pentats, and Elisha Bardi with 256 pentats. So I think that's amazing, and I think that's exciting. So in September 2020, last year, I was awarded with a certificate of recognition that I have covered 250 full protocols. So here are some achievements so far under that I have achieved in the course of Bird Atlas in Nigeria under the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project. Because Atlas activities involve travel from one location to another to observe phenomena, to see a lot of things, new things, old things, fresh things. So we were able to publish some scientific articles about the extension to the known range of grayback fiscal in Nigeria. And we observed this around Yola, and that was well out of its normal distribution range. Then we equally saw some sparrows, house sparrow in Patuskum and Azare. And based on the distribution range of house sparrow, they should not be in Azare or Patuskum, because based on Boro and Dime and the IUCN distribution map for house sparrow, the range is around Lake Chad Basin. Then there was also a scientific publication about the red-bed cysticola, and we were able to write a scientific paper about the 100 pentats we did the survey with 2 out-of-range forms, which is also in fact this paper is back from review under biodiversity observation. And another scientific paper, leucistic long-tailed glossy starling, which I observed when I was doing Atlas exercise in Kano. And as far as we know, this is the first time a leucistic long-tailed glossy starling was reported. There are reports that leucism has been documented in 8 species of starlings, but no record to date or as when this observation was made. Then There is also a paper which I started earlier, Bird Pigs Report on the Photographic Atlas of the Birds of Nigeria. And I think this, the aspect of biodiversity mapping in Nigeria should be a different talk. And because this Bird Pigs project is a complementary data to Bird Atlas project that we submit using the Bird Laser. Then presently there are 2 reports in press under the bulletin of the African Bird Club that are coming in December, which I have written. And I was also nominated as a NiBAP ambassador last year, and this year as the regional representative. Then because of some of these activities, I was also nominated or assigned as member ID panel BedFix project under the virtual museum animal demography unit. So basically, these are some of the achievements that I have achieved over the last 5 years of my citizen science in Nigeria. And this is the grey-backed pistol that we saw in Adama, and this is the leucistic long-tailed stallion. And for those of us that bet, we know this is an unusual coloration in long-tailed glossy stallion. You can see the chin, which is white, and the eye is also completely white as compared with the creamy color. And you can see the tail, which is also completely white. And this is the house sparrow in Patuskum, which is well out of range. And these are some of the bird species that I've seen either once or that are very rare. And this is Bachelor that we saw in Kaenji when we went to Mina for Atlas activities. And this is Bannerman's River when I went to Obudu Cattle Ranch for a bedding activity in 2019. And this is Abyssinian ground hornbill in Kaenji. And this is Chops testicola from Obudu, double-toothed barbet, a blue-headed cocal from Obudu, and this is Iris hawk eagle, and it is one of the report under the ABC bulletin that is coming out in September. And I saw this one in Namu around Nasara when we went to this year's Atlas activity in Nasara, and it is completely far out of range. And this is Eurasian spoonbill, and as far as we are concerned, and as far as the Nigerian Bird Atlas data is concerned, this is the only record of Eurasian spoonbill in Nigeria. And if you notice, unfortunately, the photo is not very clear because the birds are located very far from me. This individual has a yellow band, and about 2 to 3 months ago, some guys from the overseas contacted Ulf that if there is any record of Eurasian spoonbill in Nigeria, they are developing a scientific paper about their distribution. So he went through the Nigerian Bird Atlas data and noticed that I was the only one who submitted a record about the Eurasian spoonbill and contacted me. Do I know any record apart from this record that I have made? So I went through the BedPix database and I checked and there was nothing. So I told him that this is the only available, and they requested for the photograph. And this is Western Mountain Green Bull, and this is a near endemic species to Nigeria because it is the range is within the Obudu Plateau and the parts of Cameroon. It's just less than 50,000 square kilometers. So it is an interesting bird. So apart from the Bird Atlas project, there are other things that we can achieve or that I have achieved, because Bird Atlas activity involve traveling and observing not only birds, but other biodiversity and other interesting things around us. So Latestia longicaudata, this lizard, is the first and only photographic evidence of the species occurring in Nigeria. And this photo is particularly curated by the German Habitological Society. In fact, I didn't even know that there was nothing known or there is no photographic evidence about the species until they contacted me that I have recorded so lizard and they want to curate it. They want my permission. So I told them to go on, and because it is a privilege and honor, for your, photo to be curated. So, and this is also a Gamma Dorie, and this is also the only photographic record we have today in Nigeria. and it is of course an evidence that the species of okay. The same with the Agamus and Karinica, and the truth is for lizards. Virtually very little is known about the lizards in Nigeria, and the only literature, up-to-date literature we know about lizards in Nigeria is dated 60 years ago. So there is a lot of potentials in lizard study, and virtually very little is known about their ecology. So what next after many of these experiences? So I network and atlas along prominent people and caught a momentary. So these are some shots from my atlas activities with some people that I feel honored to atlas with, and some people that I value. And that's Mr. Lebentis and Mr. Peel and Professor Manu at Obudu. And that's yes, that's us again. And this is Bello, myself, and the NiBAP team this year at a small workshop we had for the Bird Atlas representatives. And this is us and Dr. T and other participants of the field ornithology field course that the APLORI held last 2 years at Yankari. I felt honored to serve as a resource person for a week and train and delivered some lectures to the participants. And this is Colin James and Farouk and Michael Brooks and Dr. Wolf and my very good friend Eos Kevin at the APLORI during one of the workshops. So apart from some of these experiences, I also experienced some important events. And this is the famous Argungu Fishing Festival, which is not only a national festival, but a global international festival of importance. And some of the atlasers were able to attend or experience this festival when we went to Kebbi last year for an atlas exercise. And when we went for a personal atlas exercise around Kazaure last year, I saw these nomadic guys. They numbered in 300s or even 400s, traveling with everything with them. Everything. It was truly exciting. And we also went to Kasugwel, which is one of the foremost and oldest well in northern Nigeria. It is truly historic because there is a lot of cultural and religious stuff associated with this well. So these are some of the interesting shots I was able to got when I went to Atlas. This is Grotto Mini Fall in Obudu, and this is part of the Mambila Plateau, and this is called Pararapa, and it is located in Falgore Game Reserve, and this is Obudu Ebiu. The Cross River National Park is right behind this mountain, and this is a temperate climate, I say, a temperate climate in Gembu. And this is around Katsina State when we went to Atlas. And in fact, when we went to Gembu for Atlas exercise, we had this experience that when you are talking, you see smoke coming out of your mouth, and that was truly interesting and exciting. So I can say that I experienced a temperate climate right in Nigeria. So if there is anything I am particularly proud of contributing to biodiversity conservation is the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project. So that's me, having enough when we went to Gombe for Atlas. It wasn't easy. Sincerely, it wasn't easy. You coordinate, you Atlas, you drive. So when we were Atlasing, I was very, very down. I was completely down. I told Harun that I can't proceed. I need to have sleep for like 5 to 10 minutes. So he allowed me to sleep for 5 minutes, but unfortunately I slept for about 30 minutes. So the greatest danger to our future is apathy by Jan Goodall. A lot of things want to achieve greatness, but unfortunately very few are motivated. Very few wants to work hard to achieve their dreams. Shallow men believe in luck, strong men believe in cause and effect, and that's what keeps us moving and growing. So all this achievement will not be complete without celebrating my Haria. And this is Haria the next morning after her last AAT expedition in Latvia Atlas. And the good thing about this vehicle is that it has never failed us for 2 years. All my travels, it has never failed for 2 years. So it is now gone, and this is the Latvia outing was her last outing. So my sincere gratitude to Aplori for inviting me for the first Atlas at their workshop in Africa, that is which was held in Nigeria, and to AAT members, friends, and colleagues, and to BDI Biodiversity Development Institute, to all citizen scientists in Nigeria. They provide and keep on providing important advice, support. You know, whenever we want to go for Atlas, you need to make a lot of contacts, who you know here, you know, they arrange with the logistics and other support. So I sincerely appreciate them in one way or another. Then to local communities who in one way or another also provide an important comment. And particularly, I just remembered that there is also a short article coming out under the BDI Insight, which is a newsletter about the role of local communities in Bird Atlas Project. And I will share with you, of course, when it is out. Also, security personnel for their cooperation and support whenever we go for Atlas exercise. But of course, the local chiefs, the village heads are incredible in providing important supports at Atlas grounds. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Malam Ringim, for this exciting, enjoyable talk. You know, the thing about citizen science is that it links you with nature. And when you are out there, there is never a dull moment. I just hope that as I am excited, everyone joining us today is excited. And I hope that all of us have learned through the experiences of Malam Ringim. So before we go any further, I will want to know if anybody has a question, or if you have a question for Malam Ringim, please, you can raise your hand or you drop it in the chat box. And I will give this time to Dr. Talatu to say something about the talk and say hi to all of us joining us today. Over to you, Dr. T.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone, for still sparing the time to join us in this very captivating presentation. You know the part I like most? The part that Mr. Ringim slept off. 5 minutes crawled into 30 minutes, which is very interesting. But before I continue to talk, I think I saw Matthew, National Park Service, as if he has his hand up. Olatunji.
Good evening. Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you.
I just have a question for Malam. Hello, sir. Do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please. Yes, we can hear you.
How do you manage to cover a lot of centers like that? That's fascinating. How did you manage that? Because me, I'm just entering into this field, and I've been finding it very interesting. Can you please throw more light, sir?
So in Arewa Atlas team, we have a standard protocol. Our protocol is that every team, we used to have like 10 teams, 11 teams per outing, and each team comprises at least 2 atlases. That's 22 people or atlases. And each team, every day, every outing, every day will cover not less than 3 pentats. So if that translates to like 25 to 28 to 30 pentats a day. And some people can go for 5 pentats, 4 pentats, one team. So if you multiply that by 4 days, it will give you like 80, 90 pentads.
Okay, you collate the data.
Yes. And we have provided a detailed analysis and of our protocol in the paper under Impress. So that other Bird Atlas project in Kenya, in Sabah, in South Africa, can mimic or will use the protocol to achieve wider coverage.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
So thank you very much for that interesting question, Olatunji. You know, the activities of the Atlas teams are usually different from the bird clubs. Atlas teams are usually made up of people that have the energy to work for several hours and people that are very conversant with birds. So it's a teamwork. And of course, when you work in team of several people, you can achieve a lot. These people have gone through rigorous exercise of going out into the field to bird watch. So that is aside the bird club. Bird club is meant for people that are just beginning to develop interest in bird watching. Gradually, you learn the birds, you start to build your bird watching muscle, and then gradually with time, when you graduate from bird club, let's say you are able to identify birds and you have the energy to go on for several hours, then your bird club coordinator or leader can recommend that you try and join. In fact, without even recommending, you get to discover that you have Atlas team close to you in which you think you can go several hours of bird watching. Then you are drafted from bird club to Atlas team. It's a volunteer work, so it's a matter of interest. If you are not interested and then they tell you to join Atlas team, definitely I can tell you that you will not be able to even cover one pentad and then you are worn out. So just, Olatunji, just keep on the interest, and with time, you'll be surprised that from your bird club, Abuja Bird Club, one day you get interested to join the Arewa Atlas team, and then you might be one of the people that are able to cover sometimes. We have people that cover up to 6 pentads in a day. Who knows? So I think that is what I have to say. As if somebody had a question. Let me quickly check.
Yes, from the chat box, somebody dropped a question there.
So you can take it if you have the question, please.
Yes, he said, any hazard in the course of doing this? So this question actually is to you, Mr. Ringim. He's saying any hazard in the course of doing this? Obviously in the course of
honestly, there are a lot of hazards. One, you are venturing into bush, an unknown place, a place that you have never go. You have no idea of what's there. So there is risk of kidnapping, there is risk of attack. You are valuable taking like cameras, like binoculars, and there are other risks associated with moving from one place to another, like accident and other risks. Yeah, and most of us, in one way or another, we have experienced these attacks and challenge from local people like John Ona and like Harun and other places. Sometimes they need to call me, I need to be there and, secure them. And there are a lot of course, but of course that will not stop us because we are advocating for biodiversity conservation. We need to get the people involved. We need to get the local community. We need to raise awareness. We need to tell them the importance of their environment.
And if I can quickly add, sorry. Yes, sorry, Mr. Ringim, you still have something to say?
No, I said I've not answered your question, his question, yeah.
Okay, if I can just add to that a little bit. Of course, there is really nothing in this life you do that does not involve risk.
Sure.
Even leaving your house and going out involves risk. So if you stay and say you don't want to take risk, you will not achieve in this life. But definitely we go out there. I always tell people, I say, when you go out into nature and you go, especially when you go atlasing, please do not ignore the local people. I have this habit of wherever I pass, even if I pass you 100 times, I'll greet you 100 times. You know that when you pass somebody and you say hello to the person, you sort of gain the person's confidence. So when you go out into the field, of course, there are a lot of risk involved in this thing. But sometimes we can minimize some harassment we get when we go out into the field. If you are able to enter a place and then you make yourself make the people feel you are not a danger to them. You can do your atlasing, you will leave. If you just go into people's community, you just walk, you pass them, and then you go and you atlas. You'll be surprised, or you say you are going to atlas. You'll be surprised they bring you back. I just give an example. The atlas team went to Taraba sometimes this year to atlas. We had passed through a community, and they were still, we were there very early. So the whole community, people were still like sleeping. We didn't see anyone. And we passed a local vigilante office and we didn't, see anybody to say anything to. So we just went ahead to do our work. And then Nanchin and her group, Nanchin and somebody else were dropped in the pentad before the village, or the pentad of the village, but there was a bush or vegetation before that place, so they were atlasing. Then she called me, we need to come back. Why? The vigilante members have surrounded them, carried them to the vigilante office, and then they were surrounded by the whole community. And then at the end of the day, they made phone calls to other communities around to say they got some bandits, and we came with guns. So our binoculars appeared to them like guns. I had to come back and go and speak to them. What I'm telling you now is we didn't finish at that community level. They had to take us to the chief of one of the big town around there. From morning, we didn't leave that place until almost close to evening, because we were supposed to be locked up until our boss from Jos goes there to rescue us. And then, interestingly, to cut the long story short, since I am from Taraba, I had to call somebody I knew that was in position, that had to talk to the chief, and then we were allowed to go. So there is a lot of risk involved in this. But if you know how to go and play it well with the community members, you can do your work and go out. Some community members, no matter how much you explain, they don't want to hear, but some are kind, and then you explain, they let you go. And this also is another opportunity when you get to meet community members. They ask, what are you here for? We are trying to create awareness about the importance of preserving or protecting our environment. And by so doing, you create more awareness about the project. So I think that is all about that.
Yeah, and yeah, very quickly, that reminds me of one of the threats or danger or risks that I have experienced. So in 2019, in December, my elder brother asked me to drive him to Mina for his friend wedding. So usually whenever I move around, that's an opportunity for me to do some atlas and biomapping activities. And I took my binocular and my camera and we went to Mina. So we slept in a hotel, and before he walked up, I immediately went out to Atlas around one bridge in Mina. Immediately after you are coming or entering Mina. So while I was doing some biomapping and atlasing, then I met with a guy. He asked me, I guess you are new here. I said, yes, I'm new here. So he asked me, do you know what's going on here? I said, no, what's going on here? He said, this is a kidnapping zone. And what are these things you are using? The binoculars and the camera. I told him that this is just for viewing birds and other. And I gave him, and he tried it. So I asked him, have you seen some guys behind you? They are smoking weeds. I told him that yes, I have saw them, and they have saw you. I said yes. So those guys can mistaken me as a SS or police or somebody, and they can attack me. So I had to give him 1,000 to take me out from that area because he asked me to go out. I told him no, I cannot go out. You need to go out with me. So they are rich, and dangerous.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ringim. And another thing is, when you go out, if you are going out at all to Atlas, please do not forget to take your ID cards, which can bail you out. Do not forget to take your field guide with you to explain. If they don't seem to understand what you say, bring out your field guide and show them what you are looking at, and then show them, have you seen these birds around? Before you know, you are going to ignite a conversation among you, and then you are going to make friends with such people.
For the great insight shared. Thank you once again, Malam Ringim. It's so educative. And one thing that I've picked from the whole of this presentation is that Atlasing is fun, educating, but then it's challenging. But when you look at all this, it is worth it. And to just add to what they said about the challenges in Atlasing, please, anywhere you go and you're not welcome, leave. That was how the team with Dr. T, we left Taraba. We left. It's only when you're alive that you can atlas. We'll keep atlasing, even though the challenges in the country still remain, but we'll still go out there and we'll atlas and come back home safely to our families. So you're all welcome, and we thank you for joining us today. Once again, thank you, Malam Ringim, and thank you all for joining us. So please have a wonderful day and good night.